even if he doesn't start doing that, I still think he does enough to be considered our best winger at the moment. By a lot, actually.
Manchester United 2, PAOK 0. Finally, a win in Europe for Manchester United. I'm joined by Ste Howson. Ste, was the result better than the performance, or did United do all right
there? It was a little bit of a boring game, really, wasn't it?
A bit, yeah.
That's quite fair to say, I think. We didn't really tear them apart. We didn't really have as much shots, really, as we probably should have done. I thought, when I did my preview, I said, look, sometimes you're tempted to be like, ooh, Europe, tricky game. But I wasn't thinking that ahead of this game. I was thinking United should snot these. Like, if we don't completely cock this up, we should just steamroll them. And Rude clearly felt the same with making so many changes to the starting 11. What do you make of that? Because I don't think you rotate if it doesn't benefit you as Ruud van Nistelrooy. So is that almost like a big indication he's probably going to be sticking around? Because why would you rotate when you're on your penultimate match? You could leave with like 3 wins and a draw as interim United manager and take that to your next job. Or you can be like, yeah, I fucked it up and I rotated. And people are like, well, why would you do that? You didn't. There's no benefit to Ruud van Nistelrooy for that. What's your thoughts on that?
I think probably a combination of, we still need people ready for Saturday, or Sunday, should I say. We need Martinez and players like that match fit. So maybe there's an eye on that. Or maybe it's just he just likes United and wants us to do well long term with him or without him. But yeah, I don't know. It could be a hint that he's had the word from Amorim. But I don't know. Do you think he'd accept a role that wasn't assistant manager or sort of one below him? Do you think he'd accept a striking coach or a just coach? Do you think he'd do that?
You can't go from a manager to assistant manager, whether or not you're a legend and it's a big club or not. You don't go from being a manager of an actual football team that plays in European competition regularly to being the assistant manager at Manchester United, because that's already a backward step. To becoming the fucking striking coach is, Jesus Christ, that's a kick in the bollocks. And he's far too handsome for that.
He is too handsome for that, definitely. Let's get through some other players then, because I thought the bright spark tonight was Ahmad, definitely. Across the 90 minutes, I think he was our best player. Had a couple of lulls in there, maybe latter part of the first half he went a little bit quiet, but he did the right thing and came out second half and looked really good. And I thought that second goal in particular exemplified what he was doing that others weren't doing, which is not giving up, not being content with just a foul and we'll go from there, and actually wanting to score more than he wanted to just, do the right thing. I thought he did really well for that goal.
Yeah, and he should have had a penalty.
Yeah, he should. I don't get why he didn't have a penalty.
That was 100% more of a foul than what we saw with De Ligt and Danny Ings.
Yeah.
And I'll die on that hill.
Completely agree.
Like, it was just like, the second it went to VAR, I was like, penalty.
Yeah.
And then you see the referee going, no penalty, and you're like, huh? Like, I don't get how you've looked at that and gone, fine.
Yeah.
He made no attempt to play the ball. He's tripped him. Penalty.
Yeah.
No. All right, fine. Okay, cool. I don't know the rules because I thought I did.
Yeah, I don't either, clearly. He just literally just stepped across him and then put his body into him as well and just didn't get the ball. Do you think Ahmad's going to... I think he's on that list of players, Ahmad, that could be in the plans of the new manager in a big way. Like, where he hasn't been under Solskjaer or Ten Hag yet, but he could work in those kind of number 10 areas that we're seeing under Amorim. Do you think he's someone that could take this performance and sort of use it to spark his United career? Because he's never quite had that first team regularity, has he?
I think right now he's our best winger. And I feel like he has been all season, despite not having the numbers to back that up. People that just go goals and assists are the only thing that matters in football will tell you he's not been, and Garnacho probably, I think, leads the pack in that. But when I watch him, I see an intelligent footballer. I see someone that's usually like high 90% pass completion. He's always creating chances. I think his dribbling is top. Like, it's very close control, relies a lot on that low centre of gravity. But when it starts getting congested in a box, you don't often see him having to stop and just pass it to his fullback, do you? He goes. He takes people on. Now, yeah, the final ball can get better, and there's obviously levels for his game to go, and you'd like to see him start weaving in maybe a little bit closer to the penalty spot, and rather than doing the Anthony thing of just twatting it over the bar, start slotting some home from there because I think he's got the ability to do that. Even if he doesn't start doing that, I still think he does enough to be considered our best winger at the moment. By a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think he's looked really good, and he's almost like he's so in contrast to Rashford and Garnacho, who I think are much more of the same type of player as each other. Ahmad's like
they're nearly
different.
a copy paste, aren't they?
Yeah, different. I think Garnacho carries the ball a little bit better, but Rashford's a better finisher, better striker of the ball. But they're of a similar style, whereas Ahmad is touch, technique, sort of 1-2 give and go kind of player, and I think that we need that. And I've been saying all season that I think that Højlund needs that as well. Not that it made a lot of chances for him today, but just generally speaking, someone who can play the ball is going to be a good thing for United. Bruno Fernandes is another one. We mentioned it on the Paddock review. But I think that first half, he was probably United's best player for me. I thought the way he actually linked the play together, he looked like he had a bit of that energy, some of the accuracy. Great pass as well for Ahmad's first goal, which was a phenomenal header, by the way. I didn't even mention that. That was a brilliant finish. Do you like what Bruno's doing at the minute, or do you think he's sort of maybe needs a bit more responsibility in terms of bringing the rest of the team up in terms of energy levels?
I'm not sure on the energy levels thing. It's weird, isn't it? I think people put far too much stock in what a captain does, and I think a great captain can have a transformative effect on a team, but that's still part of the same kind of standards. It's just it's someone that just holds people account. I'll always go back to Roy Keane because Roy Keane's the greatest captain I've ever seen, and it's the same way that you'll always go back to Sir Alex Ferguson because that's the high watermark. Like that's what all others are measured against. They are a literal benchmark for what a captain and what a manager should be, and everyone pales in comparison. But can you get close to them? I don't think Bruno's Roy Keane. I don't think anyone's going to be shocked or probably disagree with that. And I think there's probably not a lot of Roy Keanes in the game at the moment that are going to have that aggressive standard setting. But there are still players that maintain extremely high standards. It's about how they then communicate that desire to the rest of the team. I don't think Bruno does that. I think he's a bit more of a I'm going to play with a lot of energy and cut about the place, follow that example kind of leadership, which is different, I guess. It's certainly not Roy Keane's style. But I think people put too much emphasis on what managers do and too much emphasis on what captains do and not enough emphasis on professionalism of individual players. When we've never sat here this season and gone, I tell you what, someone needs to get a grip on Mazraoui and motivate the little fucker, did it?
No.
The guy just comes out and just delivers fucking solid performances day in, day out. That's what should be expected of your professional athletes. And I don't know where is it like a lack of personal responsibility in the fucking modern generation? I'm sounding old saying this.
You're sounding very
old. Is it a lack of personal responsibility by people just palming off those responsibilities on others and not taking account for it themselves? Because that's what it feels like to me. Where people just I want the manager to just fucking envelop tactics into me, and I want others to motivate me, rather than having the bollocks to just show up and do a fucking job properly. Because that's what you're paid to do. I think that was what you're asking, wasn't it?
That is exactly what I was asking, yeah, I do. And I agree with you, by the way. I just thought he is someone that Bruno gets told, or you get told that he should be making his other players better and he should be leading, not just by example, but almost sort of conducting the rest of the team. Where, like you said, I think there has to be a lot more emphasis on the rest of the players. You look at Mazraoui and I think De Ligt as well for large portions of this season. They just do it themselves. You just do it, you're here to show everyone else the standards as well as doing it, being told what to do constantly. Just on Van Nistelrooy in general, do you think we've seen, I don't even necessarily think we need to review his time because I think he's done a good job, but have you seen anything under Van Nistelrooy that has led you to believe that these players are better than you thought they were under Ten Hag? Or do you just think maybe Ten Hag wasn't getting the best out of them, but they're kind of the players that you always assumed they were?
No. I think the performances have not risen or dropped in the slightest since West Ham. I think you've just seen a linear line.
You think just a bit more lucky then? Because 2 wins out of 3, I don't think we've done that all season until now.
No, I think it's just pure timing, to be honest. You're looking at PAOK in the Cup, and you're looking at Leicester in the League Cup. Well, we swatted Barnsley, and realistically, we should have picked up more points in the Europa League than we have done. Ten Hag probably beats PAOK, right?
Yeah.
This is a man that's gone the distance in a lot of cup competitions. We probably would have done that. We've fucking tuned up Barcelona in his first season with him.
Yeah.
We went to the likes of Bayern and took the lead, didn't we? We took the lead against Bayern. I feel like we did.
I think we maybe did. But anyway, yeah, we scored 3 goals at least. Not a lot of teams score 3 goals in the Allianz, did they?
Oh yeah, we've put in some great moments in games under Erik ten Hag. What we've not done is put in 90-minute performances, especially in Europe for whatever reason in this recent 12-month where things had gone a little bit sideways. But the big question that everyone needs to be asking here is, how's Pep lost 3 on a bounce when he's just lost the one player?
That's true. That is true. Rodri goes and they can't win a game. It's interesting, isn't it? But genuinely though, and obviously we're taking the piss a little bit and we're looking, but what does that tell you?
Who is?
Well, sorry, it felt like you might be. What does that tell you though? Because consistently over the last 2 or 3 years, when Rodri hasn't played, City have won far, far fewer games. What does that tell you about managers and their influence?
It tells me I was right all fucking long, Joe.
It's
far more about the 11 that play than it is about the manager. The manager is as important. Is the 12th player, right? So a bad manager, like a bad player, will give you bad results. A good manager, like a good player, will help you get good results. Most managers are just right in that average category where they're not going to lose you games, but they're not going to turn fucking Forest Green into Real Madrid as well at the same time. The same way that you could bring in literally you can take fucking Kimmich to go and play for Paddock. We don't beat City. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. And I believe that's the same with a manager. You can put Pep in charge of fucking Ipswich. He does not win the league.
No.
Maybe he gets them an extra 6 to 8 to 10 points a season. Maybe. Or maybe he just fucking relegates them because he ain't got Rodri. It should, and that's why I'm of the mind of Amorim coming in. Maybe he comes in and he gives us a lift. He won't get us a 30 extra points. He won't get us 2 times the amount of goals that we've been scoring. He just won't. Football does not work like that. The example, Leon had 4 managers across a 9 back-to-back title reign. Did they just happen to appoint the best fucking manager in the world 4 times? Or did they just have the best team in France for a decade?
It feels like the latter is more likely, doesn't it? It does feel like the latter is more likely. I mean, it has to make sense, doesn't it? Because otherwise, why do people spend so much money on players? But with that in mind then, Amorim's coming in. You know for a fact that everyone's going to expect a 180 flipping results, a new manager bounce, back to top 4 and all the above. What do you expect to be the impact of Amorim this season? Should looking at this competition tonight, should challenging for the Europa League be the maximum we can expect? Would you like to see a top 4? Would you like to expect and hope that the strikers are going to get a few more goals, or should we temper those expectations a little bit?
I think we should temper them a lot. We're not that far away from top 4, mathematically.
Yeah.
But I think we're quite far away from top 4 in reality, in terms of the goals, the form. You're asking for a lot. And I saw one of the comments on our video the other day when we were talking about this. And someone was saying, so you're saying players can't improve? Well, no. Anytime someone says, so you're saying, usually it means, no, I'm not fucking saying that. players might improve. The thing I was saying, and I think I literally said this, you're hoping for their best ever season across the board. You might get Ahmad's best ever season. You might get Garnacho's best ever season. To suggest all 5 of our forwards are going to have their best ever season at the same time feels unlikely, doesn't it?
It does.
That they just all hit brilliant form, no injuries, and they just fucking score shitloads of goals. Well, where the fuck has that been for the last 4 months?
No.
It's let's live in reality a little bit here. When you look at every forward line ahead of us in the table, top 6. Let's just go top 6 because there's some, but we're quite far down the table.
Yeah, we're about 13, so yeah, there's probably a few in there we can beat.
You look at the top 6, and you go man for man across the average of what that forward line can deliver. United aren't top 4 when it comes to goals.
No.
There's a reason we have what did we end up last season with? Was it a -1 goal difference?
Yeah, we scored 57, I think, and conceded 58, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Because scoring 57 isn't a lot, and in Ten Hag's first season we scored 58, so that we're pretty consistent in terms of the output. I mean, yeah, we've got to hope that everyone has their best ever season, and occasionally, once in a generation or so, a manager will come in and make the team or help the team all have their best ever season, and you'll get the odd Jose Mourinho moment or something like that, or a Brian Clough or whatever it is. But to expect that from a new United manager, or he's no good, isn't
what made
isn't
Brian
fair,
Clough
is it?
special?
He had great. He
Brian
also
Clough
happened to have
was-
some great players in that team at Forest.
It was recruitment. It was him and Peter Taylor's recruitment that was just better than anybody else's. What was Brian Clough's tactics?
Go out there and
Stop
enjoy
fucking
yourself.
about and go and score a goal, young man. Like, that was his fucking... Shoot it and score. That was his fucking tactics.
The impression surprised me again, as your impressions always do. It was actually quite good. We're getting too far from the point here. Man of the match tonight against PAOK, please, Steve.
Fuck off, Joe.
Come on.
It's Ahmad, isn't it?
I need to bring it back. It was Ahmad. It definitely was Ahmad, wasn't it? Right. United have actually got a little base now to go on and push on. Would you expect, again, as a reasonable expectation this season, for Amorim to challenge for this trophy? Should that be maybe his target this season, either the Carabao or the FA Cup or Europa?
I don't think we get Champions League without it, to be honest with you.
There you go. So maybe it's a priority then.
Have you already made the thumbnail, have you?
The thumbnail is going to be UCL priority. Yeah, it will be now. We hadn't made it, but consider it made. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you for joining us at home. Hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you in a bit.